Hello, loves. Welcome back. Today's episode is a little different, and honestly, it's one of my favorites to share. Love stories that reminded me why I do what I do every single day. Because instead of just teaching and breaking something down, I want to bring you into something very real. I want to share a few of my favorite love stories that there are so many that I'm just picking and choosing from top of mind that were really unique during my journey. The kinds that remind me why I do what I do. Because behind the scenes, matchmaking, there are so many moments that God orchestrates more than any of us can imagine. So, some of the beautiful things that they say to me during this journey is really fun to share, that I think is also eye-opening as well as good to hear. And we sometimes need to slow down when there's uncertainty, and these stories I hope inspire you. So the first one I'm going to share is what I would call one of the more impossible matches. There was distance, there was age, there was particulars and pickiness and all the things that I know when we talk about our needs and wants, our non-negotiables, and we share it with the Lord of what it is we're looking for. That list was long and it was very detail-oriented though. So part of our job is also pleading to the Lord and narrowing it down to the most important non-negotiable items. And this client, not only was there distance from one side of the country to the other, this client came to me through the Lord in the timing that he wanted to for. So he started off not a strong Christian, and it was living the first life, super successful, getting into, I would say, circles that weren't leading him in the direction that he was today. One of his top mentors in his industry and his profession of what he did, he asked him, what is it that you do? What's the secret sauce to true love? And he gave him the Bible. I love her story. And he said, you read this front cover, and you will have all the answers you seek. From that day, he surrendered his life to the Lord, and truly, through that journey, is why he chose us to represent his part for true love in building God's kingdom. So, with his very successful cast, what he was missing most was having somebody to represent him until he vet through, the individuals that were right for him. He was with us a little bit longer, I think, than any of us would imagine. There were many trips out to meet up with him or him flying in and just getting to know him even better. Who he ended up choosing, which is his lovely bride today and mother of their beautiful son that they have. They share their homes between one side of the country and the other. And they make it work, and they spend times up in New York and then in the South, which is everybody's dream, right? And she still is a super successful businesswoman. And 3 of the qualities that he asked me, that he told me, I definitely don't want this. I definitely would prefer not to have that. But there are certain particulars that I also want to fold morals, values, and beliefs in. And so I heard all of it, and he kept introducing me to people that were hitting the mark of who he is looking for. Using weekly coaching calls and conversation. Finally, the Lord led us to his beautiful bride today. And the journey was just beginning after we made that infection. We settled infections. So he was tired. He was exhausted. We were starting to feel like, Lord, why? When? Who is this one? And then he brings us, was perfect, who is now his bride for the rest of his life, that they are so happy and love together, and it can tanki that box. And us too, that we're searching long and hard for. God truly orchestrated that relationship to give them the tools, to give them the discernment, the answers, that they were the one for each other. And so after I think it was 2 or 3 weeks when we were dating, leading into months down the road, there was a few pickups that happened. We stay with our clients. It was so beneficial that they had us to call when things arose in their relationship, of their busyness, the differences now, kind of life together, the challenges of distance and wanting to spend every minute together, but getting it through. And they spend every minute they can now together, raving beautiful family. And so I say that it takes a village to not only find true love, but also nurture a relationship for them to then start to see why God aligned, not us, not them, but why they're doing great things and how today. Another amazing client that I want to share this incredible story on was a former judge that became one of our clients that is happily married and matched today. Were widow, and so they already had the season of true love and were searching for it again. And obviously super strong Christian, beautiful family, and they are now happily married in a blended beautiful family scenario. And the gentleman that he actually found that is now her husband, we met him, I would say 6 or 9 months before we actually did the introduction. And he was going through the loss of a woman that he was dating for several years that was a tragic accident. And so while we were scouting and hunting and searching for individuals, he shared his whole story. And he said, I'm not sure if I'm ready yet, but I do know that I want true love again. I experienced it. I know what it is. I just would like one that is going to last forever. Knowing what our client has been and knowing what she was looking for, we obviously needed to be patient and continue as doing our work for God until he makes it clear. Time is everything. And there were certain things that he didn't completely hit the mark, of course, on our client's checklist, which is always part of the hurdle, until our client then sees past what it is that they think they want, that God makes clear for them. So P.S., we introduced our client to different individuals during that time, and God was making clear those were not the right matches. And about 9 or 10 months after, this particular gentleman that is now her husband, we circled back around in, checked in how he was doing, and he's like, I'm ready. He had some travel to do, so it took a couple more weeks until we could actually introduce them. And they obviously hit it off. They couldn't stop talking, but miraculous story of that is tongue. And there were certain things that she was saying no to in that season when you were introducing her to other people that this client was, but God knew, obviously, as orchestrating the two of them to totally ready, she started to look past those particulars because she was starting to really focus on the long-term goals of what's most important. So by the time we introduced her to now her amazing husband, the little things she was nitpicking on early on truly became things that she learned and fell in love with. And those little things that are things like maybe how somebody dresses or how somebody does the little things, those are so easy to, share, to help with, to change in the sense of fashion, I always say, or whatever it is. And sure enough, I will never forget on their wedding day, that moment of taking that photo. I love doing that with our matched couples, the two of their shining faces together, that they really trusted in the Lord more than anything. Trusted in us to bring them that individual that meant and means the world to them, that changes their families, that changes their lives together, because the two of them are much stronger in God's kingdom doing his work more than what you can imagine when you're alone. And they had some hurdles even continuing after marriage, with even their kids doing true lives, having college-age children now, and them starting to be in their seasons. But because they not only have us, but they also have their own support in their churches and pastors and friends that are so in support of their love, they were able to navigate through that season to come out stronger on the other hand. So, and what I love more than anything about this particular story is we were at a charity event when we actually got connected, and her friends were pushing her, it's time to meet somebody, give them a chance. So I also love when there's support behind our clients, also encouraging them, being our biggest cheerleader, that know that, with the Lord's help and with the team, he will make it clear when two people are truly ready. This next particular story I'm going to share with you, it's another long distance introduction that they just got married, I think about 2 weeks ago. And this particular client came from a couple of different matchmakers that he had worked with before. And he was pretty scarred, I would say, from just the letdown of unfortunately it not working out. And one of the other companies that he worked with, he actually married that individual, but then found out she was not anything that she had shared she was. And things happen, right? We also understand, but we want to be very sure when we're making a marriage decision that we're asking all the big topic questions up front. So when he was working with us, it was foreign and new to him how much we dove into his journey and who he was and his timeline on the road of who he is today, to also heal and forgive any things from the past so that he could be really ready and whole himself to be through the rubber band. And so I remember working with him for several months when we were being on introductions, and we were eating these scenes with actors to quickly change the way that he was showing up. He's starting to think about who he was going to be matched to, because that was something that was leading to the same results. So after, I don't even know, I want to say probably 6, 7, 8 months, we were finally getting to the right individuals. And what I love about this client, he was all in. He was somebody that, like, when he went on a first date, his mission was to get to like month 2. And I loved his heart, and I still do to this day how just loyal and dedicated he is to, you know, who is in front of him at that moment. But there was always something that was not balanced. And we had somebody that was coming to us that was looking to become a client. So we were so excited when she walked in the door. We feel at the right time to then introduce her to our client. And they also had a story where they should have met about 3 months earlier, but the Lord was clearly prepping both of them through, you know, different introductions. She was also going through a season in her work she really needed to complete so that she could open her heart for this long distance relationship. And today, which is so exciting, they are hoping, after a long time waiting, to start a family. They are a little bit older and wiser, but both no children, and have the heart's desire, if this is God's will, to continue to grow their relationship. In working with both of them, they both came from, like I said earlier, is like past stories or also challenges that steered them in a wrong direction of what true love felt like. And this particular female, which is now his beautiful wife, really wanted to wait until she found her husband. So there was a lot of pressure on our client to, you know, pulled out for the first holding of hands, the first kiss, the first all of that, right? That I am so proud of her that she stuck to her grounds to then find for true love through our, obviously, company and just God's timing, that truly the Lord has blessed us in his mission to find individuals, the right person at the right time. And today they are navigating still 2 locations. They more recently just got married, but they are working on 1 home, 1 location, and some relocation that also has to happen for them to sail off into their new lives together as husband and wife. And we just cannot wait to see all the things that they will continue to do and grow, now having one beautiful union together. Okay, another love story that comes to mind. This was a particular male client, one of our younger male clients. He had signed up, he had done some other online services before coming to, you know, a boutique style private matchmaking company. And on fire with the Lord, he is, never been married before, and was obviously looking for his first and only bride, and really didn't have a lot of dating experience in his past. And so, and definitely somebody that was very analytical, I guess I would say, needed like a spreadsheet of how everything was going to happen and how everything was to work out, and just couldn't understand the algorithm of true love, which is very hard to prove, right? In the sense of what 2 people God will see more than you can figure out on a spreadsheet. And so we went through the dating journey with him. He was to a point where he was dating somebody we didn't facing to. And they were dating for several months, but there were just certain things that were off. And I'll never forget how much it broke his heart when he realized that was not the right one for him and thought, I will never find like that. And I said, stop saying that. That's why we're here for you. You're not doing this alone anymore. And so I started doing more weekly calls and conversations with him because they needed a deep encouragement and needed to be told that, the ones out there were all pining for honey. I'll never forget the moment that I reminded him. He goes through this needs and wants analysis and he'll pull out the particular words that we have our clients and our team pray for. And I asked him, am I supposed to be praying every single day? I said, when was the last time you pulled out that worksheet? And is it by your bedside or by your cup of coffee? And are you praying for this person still every day? And he goes, I have to be honest, I'm not. I'll never forget the moment. It is literally 2 or 3 days I was in hardcore pain for the words that he wrote down that we walked through it with and started praying on his knees every single day. And he's like, all right, I'm going to try this, right? And I will never forget when the Lord brought us he's engaged right now, his future bride. And it was in the season of her life that she had only dated, I think, 1 or 2 people before, didn't have a ton of dating experience. And her challenge was she would always get into peg. She had one relationship that wasn't healthy. And so he would always revert back to, well, what if this happens? Or what if this comes off? Or in time, what if this is working for us? And so in their relationship particularly, I remember them setting up like weekly calls almost for the very first month or so to help them start to change their patterns of dating and trust. And they were definitely, we had some of our clients that after several months of dating, we had them do this 122 questions to get to know each other better before engagement. And that really opened him up to asking the type of questions that he's never asked before, that also was a different way of dating that he never experienced. And so to have that coach, to have that moment with the clients when you watch them transform what God made them to be, and even a better version because they had a loving mate in your bed, God doesn't bring us our exact yet. God brings us somebody that aligns, not only equally yokes, but also aligns with what he knows will make us better together. And those things can be different, and those things can be frustrating. Those things can be hard to understand. But then when we really dive deeper into who somebody is and the differences in personalities and how they pass us and how they communicate, it's amazing how you can then gain each other's strength through all of that because you have each other and God is giving you different tools so that one can help when the other one can't, and vice versa. And in their relationship, in hundreds of our other married couples today, their relationships all ride on the component of God being center in their life. And when they focus on that and are not their own thoughts or their own desires first, it's amazing how God is then clues along that journey of discernment to say into a better as one. And so what I love about that couple about to get married, we're so excited for them. They are younger, they are excited about their new journey. And I cannot wait to see all the things that I know that they will build together. They were a little bit of long distance, but I know he's relocating so that they can spend their time together. And I'm going to share one more story of, it was actually really early on in my journey of working with our clients. And it was a father that hired us for his beautiful daughter. And she was young and like 22, 23, freshly out of college, had not met the love of her life. And the parents called us and said, my daughter will kill me that I'm even calling you and having this conversation, but we just don't know what to do. Don't want to watch it go into bad cycles, bad patterns, getting in college. And we would love some guidance and help that I think would really equip her to have the kind of love that they have in their marriage, her parents. And I remember the day that we finally got on a phone call with her, and she was like, I have no idea what this is. And I was like, I know stepping into something uncomfortable or something new is never easy, but I promise you, we are working for your heart with your best interests, and it'll be an experience that you have never had before. And we're not leaving you until you are madly in love. So let's get comfortable knowing each other so that we can truly find a return path in the life. And when we were starting to interview for her, these guys were also, new in the world because they're around the same age of dating. And everybody really, like in that age demographic they were searching for, all they knew was really online dating, and all had their stories of, college dating. And so with her husband today, I will never forget at the wedding, and there was like, probably 300-500, it was a huge wedding of people, guests. And I will never forget the sweetest testimony that they had me go up on stage and share with all of them their journey that led them to this day, where now they have 3 children, are just like happier than ever. They are now seasoned in their relationship, but to give them the tools, they still call me on every once in a while. It is such a blessing to turn to equip them to be ready. It was something that, it's a story I'll never forget, because it was my first youngest client that I ever worked with, and realized how much my own self didn't have knowledge that I wish I had, that I now do, that it's so beneficial to start learning how to date, to be married while you're single, to team you up for success when you do meet that one. And God only knows when you are truly ready. So my question out of all of this, because I can't just close without some type of, question for you to ask yourself as you walk away into your new week and start a fresh week, is what are you doing today if you are single, or even if you're married or in a relationship? What are you doing today to set yourself up for healthy love to come in, for healthy love to be received, for healthy love to be loved by, not only for you, by you, and somebody, but God has money for you. And I think through all of these stories, and this is just a few, so I'd love to share more, or if you are curious about what we do, please contact us. We would love to hear and find out if God is aligning you and us together to find the true love. Or if you're in a relationship, then you're navigating a dating phase, we would love to give you our 122 is a gift questionnaire to help navigate, is this the one for you, or are there too many differences? Let me put myself out there. Come to us. We'd love to find you that person for that healthy love while it was becoming clarity. So again, am I truly doing what God wants me to be in a marriage-minded relationship? Prepping, preparing, we're also living out. So in closing, if you're listening today and you feel discouraged, or you feel tired, or like it's not happening for you, I want you to hold on to this. Your story is not behind. It's being written, and it might not look how you expected, but that doesn't mean it won't be beautiful. God is always working all things behind the scene for the good and has a plan for you. I would love to hear from you. I cannot wait for our next chat. And if there's anything when it comes to relationships, please contact us, forward or pass along this podcast in the week's topic of inspiring testimonies of true love that we witness every single day. They're not easy to orchestrate, but always worth the wait. I hope you have a fabulous week. God bless. It's been another great talk on this episode of One True Talks by Renee Rochelle. I look forward to our next chat. Please write in your questions and comments so I can be sure to talk about whatever it is you want to discuss in our next upcoming episode. Lots of love. God bless. XOXO.